Hi everyone, I hope you're staying healthy at home. I also hope you enjoyed last week's video on small talk. This week we're going to begin talking about private talk and how it's a little bit different from small talk and who you do private talk with. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Alright, so before we start talking about private talk, let's review small talk a little bit. So as we've seen in the previous videos from the last 2 weeks, small talk is done between you and someone who's an acquaintance in your life or someone who's in that yellow zone. And typically you talk about things that aren't emotionally tied to anything. So topics such as the weather, sports, movies, TV shows, video games, or traffic, topics that are really simple and easy to talk about with somebody for a short period of time. So now let's jump into private talk and who you do private talk with and what private talk is and when it's appropriate to have private talk with somebody. So first I'm going to show you guys a video of someone having private talk and then we're going to go over the video a little bit.
Hey, can I talk to you about something? But you can't tell anybody.
I don't know, it depends.
Come on, seriously, I really need to talk.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sorry, it's okay. What is it?
Okay, so my dad lent me his credit card the other day, but I lost it, and I don't know what to do. Like, I'm so upset about it. I can't sleep, and I heard him talking to my mom about it the other day, and I got so upset that I just punched my bedroom wall.
Oh my gosh, is your hand okay?
Yeah, it's fine, but I don't know what to do. I'm afraid I'm gonna get in trouble, but he trusted me.
I think you should just go ahead and admit that you lost it. I'm sure everything will be fine. Oh, hey, how's your brother? I haven't heard you mention him lately.
Can you keep a secret?
Try me.
No, you really can't tell a soul.
I don't know if I can. I'm kidding. I didn't tell anyone you like that boy in the neighborhood.
That is true, but no, seriously, I've heard that my brother has been using marijuana and he's been drinking a lot of beer lately.
Oh my gosh, but that doesn't sound like him at all. He doesn't like those kind of party people.
I know, my parents caught him drunk. Oh, he was wasted.
Oh my gosh, what are they gonna do?
I guess they're gonna try to get him help.
Oh, well, I hope so. I promise I won't tell a soul.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Alright, so in the video we noticed in the first video, two people talking and they were talking very low, they weren't using loud voices, and the girl said, who had private information to share, hey, can you please keep a secret from me? Something happened and I really want to tell you. And the other girl told her that she would keep her secret, so the other girl told her private information about something that happened where she punched her wall and she was scared and she didn't want to get in trouble. So these are things that you would talk about with somebody who you trust and who's in that green zone. And a few things that I want to point out in the video that are important when it comes to private talk is these people seem to know each other very well. They would be in that green zone on the traffic light poster. And you could tell that it was private because the girl asked her not to tell anybody. So if somebody says to you, hey, something happened to me, I'm really kind of scared or nervous, could you please not tell anybody? Then that's a sign that they might want to tell you something that's private and personal, and you want to make sure that you're there for them and you're listening to them and that you're not going to share what they tell you with anybody. And the same goes for you. If you want to tell someone something that's very private, you want to make sure they're listening and that they agree not to tell anybody else. All right. And they were also talking quietly. So in the first video, the girl wasn't yelling about herself punching the wall. She was kind of ducking like this at the table and she was quiet. She was like, hey, can you please keep a secret from me? And the same goes for the second video when the two girls were in the mall. She, kind of looked around to make sure that no one was around her before she told the other girl that her brother was using drugs and drinking and that she, was having some family issues with it. So in both videos, both people were made sure that they were talking quietly and that nobody was around them. And did the person listen to the problem? So in both instances, both people who were listening were really intently and really closely listening to the other person. So this is a sign that somebody who you're telling something to is in the green zone. You trust them to listen to you, and you trust them to give you advice, not tell your secret, and to maybe help you out if you need so. Okay. And if the person repeated the problem to other people, how might the friend react to him? So let's say that you tell someone something very private and they went and told somebody else. So I would assume that if you told someone something that was private and very personal, you really wouldn't want the other person to tell anybody. And if somebody did that to you, that would really hurt your feelings. And the next time that you have something private or personal to share, I would probably try and tell somebody else, because you don't want your private or personal information being shared with anybody else besides that person who you told, who should be in the green zone. So now I'm going to show you guys one more video of two people talking about a private topic and how they stopped talking because they noticed there were too many people around them.
Hey, I wanted to talk to you. I think my boyfriend wants to spend more time with me.
Well, how much time do you spend with him now?
After school and weekdays and sometimes Saturdays too.
Well, what does he say?
Well, he wants me to spend more time with him. And I like him, but I don't want to spend every minute with him. We should probably talk about this later. Did you see the Steelers game yesterday?
I did. It's always good when they win.
I love when they win.
Yeah.
Alright, so in the last video that we just saw, you noticed that two people were in a library together having a private talk or private conversation. And the girl said to the guy, "Hey, my boyfriend told me that he wants to spend more time with me, but I'm not sure if that's something that I want to do." And they started to have a bit of a private conversation, but then more people came into the library, so they stopped talking. And they did this because they didn't want the private information that they were sharing with one another to get out, or anybody to hear them talking about what they were talking about. So it's really important that if you have something personal or private to share, or you want to have a private conversation with somebody, that you do it in a place where nobody else can hear you, and you know that your secret that you're telling someone else is going to be safe. Alright, so before we do our Check for Understanding worksheet together, let's go over again what exactly private talk is. So private talk is when we share personal things with people we trust in that green zone. Sometimes private talk can contain secrets, but not all the time. People with whom we have private talk with would be on the the green zone on the traffic light poster, such as an individual who we trust, a parent, some teachers, and best friends. Private talk is with someone who is trustworthy and who will not repeat what you say. So you want to make sure when you have private talk with somebody, you can trust what you're telling them, and you can also trust they will not share it with anybody else. During private talk, one might talk about a health problem or illness, a relative who is involved in the criminal justice system, or a romantic interest in a girl or a boy. So those are just some examples of private talk that you might have with somebody else. They are topics that are more emotionally tied to a series of events or something that's happening in your life. And lastly, private talk should occur when you are in a place where only the trusted person you are talking with can hear you. And it's important to also remember that whispering can sometimes be overheard by other people. So even if you're in a restaurant or a bookstore or somewhere in public and you're whispering, someone who's around may still be able to hear you. So it's really important that if you want to share something that's private, you're alone with somebody who you trust, and there won't be any distractions or anyone around who will be able to hear what you're saying. So now let's go to our Check for Understanding worksheet together. Alright, so here's our Check for Understanding private talk questions. Number 1. Private talk is sharing personal information. Yes, that is true. Private talk is with trusted people, those labeled green on the traffic light poster, confidants, best friends, or parents. Yes, so private talk should only be done with people who you absolutely trust and who are labeled in that green zone. Private talk is information that you post on the internet. No, so you never want to post anything that you would privately talk about with somebody on the internet. Private talk often has a strong emotion attached, such as worry, fear, or anger. So this is true. So if you have something private to tell somebody, usually you're more emotional about it. You might be sad, you might be scared, and so you privately want to tell somebody about those things. Private talk only happens where the person you are talking with can hear you. So yes, you want to make sure that when you're telling someone something that is private or personal to you, that nobody else is around to hear, or if you're in a public space where there are other people around, you want to make sure you're talking in a low voice where only the other person can hear you. And lastly, private talk is talking about the weather. So talking about the weather is small talk, which is something we learned about in the past 2 weeks. It would not be considered private talk. Number 2, what is important to know about private talk? It helps to talk to a trusted person about something that worries, scares, or angers you. So yes, it's really important that you have someone in that green zone that you trust, because we all at times have something that we privately want to discuss with somebody. So it's important that you have someone that you can go to and you can share it with them in a private and confident place. If you share private information with someone whose traffic light color is yellow or red, they may make fun of you or bully you. So this is true. So if you tell somebody that you got in a fight with your parents or your best friend, and you don't know this person very well and they're in that yellow or red zone, you never know what they would do with that information because you don't know them very well, right? So you want to make sure that when you're having private talk, it's really done with somebody who's in that green zone and you trust them. So next, it's a way to start a conversation with someone. So you would not want to start a conversation with private talk with somebody just because, if you have private information to share, it would be best to start off with small talk. And then you can go into sharing whatever private information you have with them if there's someone who's in that green zone. So it's important to know about private talk because listening to a friend or confidant is one of the things a friend or confidant does to show they care. So that's true. So if you listen to a friend or a guardian or a loved one about something they have to privately share, then they'll be there for you. And it's important that you know and they know that you're there for one another if you ever have something private to share. So it is a social custom that certain topics are private and not shared with everyone. Yes, so it's really important to know that not everything that happens to you or that you do has to be shared with everyone. So some things like getting in arguments or having a bad day are not meant to be shared with just anybody, and they're really private topics that are meant to be shared with somebody in that green zone. Number 3, some topics of private talk are sports. So no, like we talked about last week, sports is small talk. Health situation or having my period. Yes, so this is considered small talk or private talk, I'm sorry. So a health situation or having your period is considered private talk. Family problems. Yes, so family problems is considered private talk. What about a relative shoplifting? Absolutely. So you would never want to tell somebody in the yellow zone or the red zone that you have a relative who has shoplifted. That is definitely considered private talk. The weather. So the weather, like we talked about in the past 2 weeks, is small talk and is not considered private talk. And lastly, liking someone. So liking somebody is something that is private and you would only want to share with someone in that green zone. All right, now number 4. Who can you use private talk with? Identify those people with whom you can use private talk. All right, so let's find some people or figure out some people that we can do small talk with. Oh, 1 second. All right. So some people that we can do small talk with would be parents, best friends, guardians, staff members, or who else can we do small talk with? Or private talk with, I'm sorry. Parents, best friends, guardians, staff members, and anyone else on the green or in the green zone on the traffic light poster. All right, so the people that we can do private talk with is parents, best friends, guardians, any staff members that you trust, or anyone else who you label in the green zone on the traffic light poster. All right, and we just went over this in number 4, but number 5 is what traffic light color is somebody who you share private talk with? And this is people in the green zone. So anyone who you talk about private topics with or personal information with, you want to make sure they're in the green zone and that you trust them and you feel confident that they won't share your information. And if you need help, they'll be there to help you too. All right, so this is our private talk check for understanding worksheet. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. I hope you were able to learn a little bit of something about private talk and how it's different from small talk. Next, we're going to be learning about secrets and who we tell secrets to and what that all means. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next week.